Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm here with a new shelf. Very royal, very regal, very fancy. A little too fancy for me, a little too loud, I think. But I thought I'd make a contrast to last one's, which was very whimsical, very bright, very cheery. This one more used in a den or harem or something. I don't know. But I'm going to use it today to show you my first three pregame reviews. And you're probably asking yourself, what the hell is a pregame review? I said last time that I wanted to do some kind of a reading challenge in 2023, 50 books I said, but hopefully that's the ground floor. And I wanted to take the rest of this year to set myself up in a good position to reach that goal. So I'm pre-gaming with reviews on this channel, and these are the first three. So I'm going to rank them from the ones I like the least to the ones I like the most. And with that unfortunate introduction, the Body Scout, Lincoln Michel. I never read new books because I never buy new books because all my books come used, as you will see. So this one, I think it was 2021. 2021, we got it from our wedding. I put it on the registry because it's a science fiction book that has to do with baseball. And I'm always trying to get my wife into science fiction. She likes baseball. I thought it would be good. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be recommending it to her. And that's mainly because of the overall setting of this book. It's one of those like gonzo dystopias, if that's a phrase. It's kind of like a bright Blade Runner kind of setting. And it's kind of depressing. You know, it's near future, and the world is just engrossed in every vice you can imagine. We've just turned every aspect of life into this unobtainable, biologically engineered monstrosity, including baseball. The main character is a scout, but you don't scout players anymore. You scout biologists and geneticists and other scientists that can enhance the player to perform better. And the main character's brother is the best player, that is the body most like a sponge for these genetic modifications. And game one of the World Series, he plays for the Monsanto Mets. That'll give you an idea about that gonzo dystopia kind of feel. Game one of the World Series, he kind of melts on the field. He just like degrades. And everyone watches it like, what the hell's going on? The main character is tasked with figuring out what happened. And it is kind of like a noir detective story. But it's kind of weird because he's also clearly making fun of those noir detective stories. I always have a hard time balancing those two thoughts in my head. Like, you obviously like that kind of story because you're writing about it, but then you kind of poke subtle fun at it. Like the chapters are called The Dark Alleyway or, the Eyewitness Account. Just those very clear-cut, well-worn steps in this kind of story. So you're kind of making fun of what you are building upon. With just one strange aspect that I got caught up on. My main gripe is that he has a number of interesting science fiction ideas. And when you're trying to go through the story and figure out what the hell happened, he's like, take a look at this cool science fiction thing. And you're like, yeah, that's pretty cool. And take a look at this one. And you're like, yeah, sure, okay. And then it kind of ends, and you're like, well, what did that have to do with any of that? You're, at least, I don't read too many mysteries, but I believe you're expected to be able to follow some kind of line to have some kind of idea about what the ending will be. But this one was just like, oh yeah, all that stuff was just a sideshow. This is where we went. So kind of a letdown at the end. But I will say that the pacing was awesome. It was lightning fast the entire time. Very consistently lightning fast, so it was a quick read. And he did have a number of interesting ideas about this kind of depressing near future dystopia, which I enjoyed. The best part about it, honestly, is the cover. I think it's beautiful. I like those colors on the black and the idea. I mean, I made these kind of models when I was a kid, so maybe it has a special appeal to me. It's going to look nice on a shelf, which, isn't the best compliment you can give a book, but it will do that. He does this thing with some of his sentences where he'll build up. He'll be like, he went down into the stadium, and then period, and then running down the field with the bat in his hand. And it's clearly an incomplete sentence. I've seen that elsewhere. And not that I don't like when writers could be a little experimental, but that one, it never was clean for me. Usually when writers do that, eventually my mind will be like, this is something normal, this is something that they do. But with that, and with this author and others, my mind is never okay with it. It always trips up where it's like, well, you can't do that with a sentence. It's a minor gripe. But I would say a solid 5 out of 10. It was enjoyable, it was quick, there were some cool ideas. Didn't really hold together, but, what can you really do? Next, I talked about this last time. This was in my book haul, and I said I wanted to read it. One of the Penguin classics that I like, that I sometimes buy just to have on my shelf. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. But this one I wanted to read. Nella Larsen, Passing. The back has to do with racial tensions in the 20s, which I thought would be interesting to read about because still racial tensions today, so let's compare and contrast. So the main character is a woman, half white, half black, and she's very entrenched in the black community. And she stumbles upon someone she knew from high school or college, another woman, half black, half white, but she is passing as a white woman in order to marry a rich white man named Jack, of course. Over the book, I was constantly like, is this a good thing? Like, should it be exposed? But the woman is a victim, but she's making a victim. It constantly had you questioning back and forth, and it's not a long book. To have accomplished that is pretty impressive. The main character is on that upper echelon of society. Her husband is a doctor, and she wants to deny that racism has as much of an impact on her life as it does. And that means denying a lot of what passing is. Passing is cutting off your nose in order to fit into a certain club. Passing is denying something essential to you in order to be accepted. And we all have that. We all have that in our lives to a certain extent. I mean, we don't show certain parts of ourselves to certain people because you need to be accepted in different circles. But of course, this kind of passing is far and above all of that. It's just such a core part of you, something that no one would ever say you should hide that. It's your core identity. And in order to suppress that, I mean, there must be a lot of psychological harm in that kind of long-term, hardcore suppression, which she doesn't really go into in this book. But you got to believe that this woman is under a lot of stress in her life. Yet she's like a Daisy character from The Great Gatsby. She's always wearing these extravagant gowns. She's going to these black parties in Harlem because she finally has an in. And this woman is her in socially, and she's like torn about that because I think she's questioning whether or not to be friendly to this woman because she is betraying black people by passing, but at the same time, everyone can see why she would do that. And she's just a victim of the situation like everybody else. And to victimize her would be unfair, but you can't attack the system. You can only really get to the result of the system, the output of the system. But dealing with that doesn't affect the system. It's the same kind of stuff that is prevalent today still. where you can see the negative ramifications that a system has, but you can't do anything about it. You can maybe poke at those negative ramifications, but that doesn't help anybody. And that's the main character's struggle through the whole thing, which I was there with her. I was questioning back and forth, yeah, what do you do here? Do you say that I don't like this and I don't want to deal with you? Do you say what you did is wrong? I mean, I'm sure she knows it's wrong, but that's what she had to do in order to have the life she does. Brought up a lot of questions. Definitely makes you think. Definitely gives you some sympathy, some compassion. I enjoyed it. And the writing, I really enjoyed the writing. It was like Dickens light. You know, that fanciful, pinkies out kind of writing. And sometimes you like read a sentence and you have no idea what you read because it was just a bunch of long words and a lot of syllables and you have to go back. But there was none of that with Larsen. She was more concise, more understandable, more layman. And I like that. And it taught me about the Harlem Renaissance, which I never heard about before, which obviously happened in Harlem in the 20s, where a lot of black writers were getting notoriety in a very condensed area. Good stuff. Okay, lastly, the one I enjoy the most, Phillip K. Dick, Minority Report. I know it's a short story, I know I'm cheating, but it's its own book, and you're probably asking yourself, why is he holding it that way? It's oriented like this. Yeah. Talk about that. This is the one I enjoyed the most. If you haven't seen the movie or read this book, it is about the future where there's no crime. And there's no crime because there's these 3 alien, mutant, hybrid things that can see the crime before it happens, and they go out and they find the person before they even do the crime. And that's all well and good, but then one day the police commissioner finds his name on the list of those guilty, him guilty of murder, and he has to try and hide it and run, but certain organizations are after him, certain organizations are helping him, he's not sure what to believe in classic Dick fashion. But he finds out that the Minority Report finds him not guilty. Since there's 3 of these future-seeing mutants, 2 of them say that he killed someone and 1 doesn't. And the one turns out to be right, kind of. Kind of the idea that the truth is just what most people believe, which is a scary idea, but an undeniable idea. And this story kind of leads you to believe, even if you have the minority opinion of something, you could just be seeing further ahead than the other 2, the majority of people. Which of course I agree with, but I can't help but think that idea motivates, my minority opinion is that the earth is flat, and every single person is telling me that it's not. But I see further ahead. It kind of like, how do you not promote that kind of thought when you talk about this kind of an idea? But anyways, we all know what he's getting at. We all know there's truth to it. We all know that sometimes the loudest voices are not the truest, are not the most well-informed. But thanks for the reminder, PKD. And so I got to talk about this formatting. I think they were going for like a police report notebook, where they flip it up and they write in it like this. But the thing is, it's not a police report. There's no police work to do. It's just these people telling you who did what. So it kind of, even as a gimmick, it's not founded on anything. It's not justified. And to justify this, I'm out there, like sitting in a library reading this book. I feel kind of like an ass. Like everyone, just bringing attention to myself. I didn't really like that. And plus, there must be some kind of like neurological thing where you have a harder time focusing. Because you're reading a book and you're doing this, and you're reading longer lines, and you're thumbing the pages to change. And there's got to be something psychological where it just doesn't make sense. I'm not used to it. I had a hard time focusing sometimes. And there's like, 5 words to a line, so your eyes are moving more. And it's harder to turn the pages, so there's more of a gap there. It had a lot of negative repercussions for just the ability to have this unusual formatting. Not at all justified. That is my biggest gripe by far of this, is just the formatting. I thought it was fun when I bought it, but then when I read it, it was not quite as fun. And the sticker. The sticker. As soon as Tom Cruise agreed to that, they couldn't wait to slap that baby on. Tarnished. And how do you put this on a shelf? Like, at least mine, they're too shallow for that. You could do that, but then you got the pages coming out. Like, here's the spine. You want the spine, you gotta like display it like that or something. Yeah. But good story. Minority Report. Phillip K. Dick never seems to disappoint. Yeah. So thanks for watching. There's going to be a lot more of these to come. I think the audio quality should have been better. Lighting should have been better. We've got some more decoration. I'm slowly getting better. Obviously, I'm new at this, but sucking at something is the first step to being kind of good at something, right? So here I am. Once again, thank you.